one bill on the agenda today that we're going to get to. We do have a short presentation first. I know everyone has other committee meetings. They're queuing up our video and presentation. So before we get started, I'm going to ask Representative Al Williams to give us a quick prayer. So if you would bow with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you reminding me you want it quick. Bow your heads with me. Oh, Lord, our Heavenly Father, we thank you first for the victory. We thank you for once again coming together. Remind us as we sit and do the people's business that everything we do and say should be with you in mind. For it is in Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
All right. Thank you, Representative. As you know, one of the items that we cover in this Transportation Committee also includes our airport policy around the state. We have Vernon Lee with us today. He represents our airports, and we're going to, at this time, ask him to come up and have a short presentation for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I also hold the word short, but today, so to get that, I have the Georgia Airports Association president. He's also the Vidalia Airport manager, and also the Thomaston Airport manager, along with the Commission County chair from Upson County. So with that, we'll go. I think Brent has something. He's a quick video. Now, some of the faces have changed since this video was put together, but the message about statewide aviation is the same. And then we'll.
Just a moment for the screen to turn on.
How long?
Just a few seconds.
Okay. I didn't want to start talking again if it's about to kick up.
That's all right.
You need to start talking?
Apologize for it. It's taking a little time to come up. And Mr. Chairman, on the microphone control, if you can hit computer audio. Got it? Okay.
Mention airports in Georgia, and lots of folks think of Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta, the world's busiest, serving the major airlines of the world. But for Georgia's businesses and industries, the 104 airports located in communities throughout the state come to mind. The ones serving their local regions, moving people, goods, and equipment efficiently and connecting businesses and citizens to the rest of the state, our nation, and the global economy.
Thomaston lost about 6,000 textile jobs in 3 or 4 years, and we were looking for different ways to attract new jobs to replace the old ones. And our airport became one of the focal points. We had 2 industries that were interested. Their vision was to bring their customers from Hartsfield in a small plane to Thomaston, walk across the street into their new plastics factory. But we didn't have a good enough runway, so we worked with the state and then the FAA, and in 1994 we opened our new facility. That plant became a reality. Then they were our first commercial success. Later we had another Quad Graphics, so our airport again had to be an all-weather airport to attract them, and we upgraded it, and they built a large new facility there, and it's our county's largest employer. Without the airport we wouldn't have either one of those facilities.
Georgia has 104 publicly owned public-use airports. 9 are commercial airline service airports. And we have 95 general aviation airports supporting business operations around the state.
Our 104 airports are critical for our competitiveness in the state of Georgia. It creates huge opportunities for companies, especially international companies. We're seeing a lot of growth in international manufacturing near airports throughout the state.
We found long ago that one of the first questions that's asked when a company or an industry is looking at a community is, what size airport do you have? And that is one of the things that makes the first cut.
Adequate airport facilities may not be the only reason that a company would choose to locate somewhere, but oftentimes it can be the single reason they choose not to locate somewhere.
A company can go and put their operations in any country, anywhere in the world. And so every little thing that we can fix or improve or invest in, it does pay back when we're out there competing. And it's critical for us.
In a time when the recession has really been pretty detrimental on some communities in the state of Georgia, we've experienced some great successes.
In the early 1980s, we were trying to get an industry to choose Douglas to locate, but their corporate people had to fly into a neighboring airport just to visit Douglas. That's how badly we needed our airport improved. It turned out to be TRW.
TRW worked with the City of Douglas. Their support of extending the runway and improving the airport was why this building stands here today. 30 years later, we've now turned this from a finishing plant to a full-service aircraft casting plant. We export 65% of our product to other countries. The world has become a global economy, and having the airport here helped PCC grow a building that can support that global economy now.
In my world, trying to attract jobs to Georgia, everything is about speed, timeliness, and cost. To have an airport in our community is critical.
We're a cable television provider to about 6 million people across the United States. We fly each and every day all around the country. I remember one Saturday, I received a call from one of our network engineers. Jimmy, we need to get file servers around the country to all of our operating cable locations today. So in a few short hours, we had engineers and file servers loaded in airplanes, and they dispatched on a Saturday afternoon around the country, and we made the transition seamlessly, and our customers never even realized that we made the change. There is no doubt that corporate flight operations is a very important part of our company.
Augusta is really on the move. We're growing with jobs, we're growing with businesses coming in, and we've got a growing airport.
Fort Gordon is the largest employer in the Augusta area. It's about 23 to 25,000, depending on how many students are here. I think the total numbers that we see going in and out of the airport from Fort Gordon, probably a neighborhood of 2,000 to 2,500 a month.
Our air transportation is one of the keys to our current growth and to our future growth as well.
We've always looked at the planes as a tool, just like we do an oven. When we put in an oven, you expect productivity out of the product going through it. And same with the planes. We didn't have the planes. There's no way in the world that senior management team can be nearly as effective as long as the plane is there waiting on you. It's just amazing how much more you can get accomplished.
We've always had an aircraft with the company. If we have to take 4 days out on the road, it's not competitive. And it's critical for us, with it being a family business, that we get back because we are the decision makers. We need to be in the office. Having that capability really is priceless.
I'm a quarter of a mile from this airport from our farm. We grow the onions and grow all the vegetables that we use at our processing plant. And I can load up, be on this airplane, be gone and back to Tennessee by lunchtime, and already work the deal out by noon.
Vidalia has become a regional draw as a community where you can find work.
We've got 2 world-class airports here, one on St. Simons that handles a lot of private aircraft, and the commercial airline traffic that comes into Brunswick is essential to support our industry. We have a lot of corporate meetings and retreats. We have world-class resorts, economic development, tourism, and all the businesses we have here.
Sourcing seafood globally, there's just a constant interaction with the airport. Every hour that you've got product on ice is risk. When a line goes down, it's critical that we be able to get the right expertise, technicians, spare parts as quickly as possible to get back in production. You're dead in the water if you don't get that part in a timely fashion.
A lot of our local businesses at the current airport are handicapped. Runway's too short. They get bigger jets and they're looking to go elsewhere. My goal is to keep them in Griffin-Spalding County. Our new airport would service somewhere around 95% of the general aviation fleet. The new airport is going to create more job opportunities for us, either at the airport directly or in the surrounding area.
More than 471,000 jobs with a payroll of $17.7 billion can be attributed to aviation activity in Georgia, according to the 2010 statewide Aviation Economic Impact Study. This economic impact is generated by on-airport businesses and construction projects, leisure and business visitors who arrive by aircraft and spend money during their stays, and the multiplier effect of those dollars being spent and respent, circulating throughout the local, regional, and state economy. Airports are so important to Georgia businesses that a 2010 survey found proximity to an airport among the top reasons for choosing a location. Georgia's airports provide a total benefit of $62.6 billion to the state economy. That's 16% of Georgia's estimated gross domestic product in 2010. Since 1992, jobs attributed to aviation have more than doubled, and total economic benefit has nearly quadrupled. Aviation is an essential economic development tool for Georgia's communities to attract and retain the businesses who provide jobs in their regions. Every day, we all depend on the products and services that touch every part of our lives, and aviation makes it all possible.
Airport brings growth to the entire area.
Runways, like roads and rail, are a vital part of Georgia's transportation infrastructure.
The airport can actually be its own generator of jobs.
Hundreds of jobs to the community.
Improve the competitiveness of our individual businesses in Georgia so that they can continue to hire people and grow.
1,300 jobs that we didn't have.
It means jobs, it means investment, and it means quality of life to our citizens, and that's really the bottom line.
Mr. Chairman, to stay in the time frame, I'm going to go straight into one of the cities that was featured there, and for Thomaston, Upson County, airport manager and chair, and he has just a quick PowerPoint, and we've cut it down, so thank you, sir.
Movie stars with us, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having us up, and what Vernon asked us to do today is just kind of bring you a microcosm of how it works when it does work to put some money in your local airport. This is a picture of the Thomaston Airport back in the 1970s and 80s. It's a black and white shot, not much to it, and I would venture to say that with the demise of the 6,000 textile jobs that we had in Thomaston and Upson County in the 80s and 90s, that's what it would look like today as well. How do we click this thing forward? Okay. This is what we have today. The Thomaston-Upson County Airport has 6,350 feet of runway, a full instrument landing system, and land for development and expansion. That land includes a 105-acre tract adjacent to the airport. So, and there's not very many airports that have the ability to say that. We also have multiple sites for T-hangars and corporate hangars as well. This terminal building of ours, built in 1994, you've probably all seen these across the state since then. But if you ask any of the old hands with GDOT's aviation programs, this was a very new idea in 1994. We put together this corporate terminal building so that business would have a place to come in and take care of their stuff here in Thomaston. And it's also operated by representatives of Thomaston and Upson County. We're a joint project. And that's been huge to have us out there representing the county, not just trying to make a buck selling a gallon of gas. Because what we do is, I tell my guys every day, I said, look, we all love airplanes, but we're not here. They don't pay us to love airplanes. They pay us because we're here to represent the county. Hangar trends, we've got 96 T-hangars and 8 corporate hangars. All of them are full right now. I've got a waiting list. We are currently in the black just on our operating funds after 21 years of struggling through that. In the last 2 years, we've been in the black. And over 70% of our tenants come from outside of Upson County. So that's revenues for ad valorem taxes that are coming from outside of our county. And we're right now focused on hangar development. These are just some of the corporate businesses that we have. And we service transient aircraft as well. And why is the airport important? If you take a look at this one shot on the top of the screen, is quad graphics. In the middle is the runway. On the bottom of the screen is Dark Container. Those are two of our largest employers. And we also have the Thomaston-Upson County Industrial Park right behind us. Because we, like most airports, serve more than just our county. We serve several surrounding counties. And it's our hope that as people have to drive through our industrial park, they're going to consider their next acquisition to be with us. So it's been huge for us. I'll just skip the scenario. Everybody on the video talked about how important it is for their local airport. I will tell you that it's all about saving the boss's time when you're dealing with corporate travel, because a lot of these guys' hourly rate, we don't even want to think about them having to stand in line with TSA and go through security checks and all of that. I'd like to turn it over just a moment to the chairman of the Upson County Board of Commissioners, who came up here with me this afternoon and gave his day to us to help support airports.
Mr. Chairman, members, thank you. And I want to thank Representative Caldwell, my representative, for being here today. As he said, I'm the chairman of the Upson County Board of Commissioners, and I also serve on the Thomaston-Upson County Development Authority. The two things I'd like to point out. This highlights where Upson County is in proximity to, the triangle, Columbus, Macon, and Atlanta. So 60 miles from here, this airport has been just a vital part of our economic development piece over the last few years. We are just now in the last year, and it's not because I got elected or anything, we're starting to see some momentum. We're starting to see things in our development park and our surplus of empty buildings. We're starting to see those come under contract and some good things. The 240-acre development park that is right across the road from there at airport, we currently have a contract with a company coming in for purchasing 73 acres. And, can't really say much about what they do just yet, but it stands to be a huge boom for Upson County. I just look at the airport, and my hat's off to Mitch, and you saw the gentleman early in the thing was Mr. George Hightower, who should have been here today, but he's like most Georgians, home with the flu today. Just the effort that they have put into our airport in the last 20 years. When Mitch said they're operating in the black, 0 general fund dollars going to support our airport for Thomaston-Upson County. It's huge. And so between the airport and those 3 major state routes that come through our community, if we could just, and then we have a Norfolk Southern Rail coming through there. So, and from my perspective, the airport with the 3 state routes that, quite frankly, we probably could use some help on as we connect 75 and 85, either through the State Route 36 expansion or the infamous Import-Export Highway that's been kicked around for a number of years, what that would do for not just Upson County, but everything right there in West Central Georgia. But again, I'm very proud of our airport, proud of our Industrial Development Authority, and I encourage you, you will not find a better example to emulate statewide. So just thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And last thing, I'll point out to members of the committee, talking about those hangars and so forth, those are funds that the FAA will not pay for. That's why it's so vital and important to have state aid funding through the appropriations process and so forth. So they don't always pay for everything that's needed locally. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank you, Commissioner, for coming and being with us. You've got a great representative down there, and he keeps your interest in the front of all of us on a regular basis. So thank you very much. All right, we have one bill on the calendar today, Representative Trey Kelly. This is a bill that, an issue we worked on last year. Someone pointed out that we had a lot of hearings on this issue last year. I think that Representative Kelly will point out to us this is hopefully a quick fix that the Attorney General's office has pointed out that needs to be taken care of. So if you just want to come up and have a seat at the table, we'll get started. Representative Kelly, just give us your LC.
Having trouble pulling it up on my phone. Let me
just I'll read it for the record. It's LC 391720 is the LC number we should be working off of.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Here today, getting to visit with you again, talking about autonomous vehicles. And first, I want to thank the committee for all the work and effort you put in last year to help us create a national model now. last year we worked and brought traditional auto manufacturers, tech companies, insurance companies, lawyers. We got everybody together to try and create a model piece of legislation that is now being used nationwide to put forth good policy to help with the development of autonomous vehicles on our roads, and it's working. We have seen Waymo, which is a subsidiary of Google, has announced that they're coming to Georgia to begin testing autonomous vehicles on our roads, and I think that's something that we should be proud that Georgia's leading on. With that being said, I've worked with the Attorney General during the off season on one tweak that he would like to see us make, which is just to make clear that the autonomous vehicles that we referenced in the law we passed last year are still covered by Georgia lemon law. And then also I've worked with the auto dealers. They wanted to make sure that they would also be covered under the Georgia Motor Vehicle Practices Franchise Practices Act. And I believe Chairman Harrell will offer an amendment to make that clear, that second part clear. So, Mr. Chairman, that's the bill. Pretty simple. Just making sure that autonomous vehicles, just like any other vehicles on our roads, are covered by Georgia's lemon law.
All right, thank you, Representative Kelly. So that's the only change we're making in your proposal. The bill we worked on last year was very substantial, very detailed. We spent many weeks working on that. So I believe we have several questions. Representative Garner, number 23.
So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for this far-sighted legislation that you're bringing to us. I noticed there are 3 parts of the law that are now being included that apparently were left out before. Is that correct?
Yes. The Attorney General just wanted to make it clear that those 3 sections would be covered, and then I think the amendment that Chairman Harrell will introduce will also make clear that it follows the Motor Vehicle Practices Franchise Practices Act as well.
Well, for those of us who are not so familiar with this part of the law, are we sure that these are all the changes we need, or could there be others?
These are given to us by our Attorney General, who I feel is capable and has a great understanding of this law, and they said that this would cover everything that they needed to make sure consumers are protected here in Georgia.
Do they reflect some cases that he's had to litigate?
I'm sure the code sections are used regularly when they prosecute individuals based on violations of our lemon laws.
But not as regard to autonomous vehicles.
Hasn't been that situation hasn't come up yet, but this would make clear that autonomous vehicles fall under the same lemon laws as any other vehicle that's on our roads.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to the Attorney General for taking a close look at this. We know this is new technology. There's going to be issues that we may have to address on a regular basis as this technology continues to evolve. All right, our posture, if there's no other questions, will be that we will ask for a motion to approve. We have another question. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For clarification, last year when we were discussing this, we had not come to a clear understanding as to liability. Have we cleared up the liability issue? And if so, can you give us a short synopsis of where we are?
So that was addressed in the bill last year. At the end of the day, we made clear that the liability would be strictly on the individual who places the autonomous vehicle technology onto the automobile. And so the manufacturer of the autonomous vehicle technology and is the one responsible for putting that on the vehicle are strictly liable. And that was something that they asked for, and that was something that working with people representative of the plaintiff's bar, they felt comfortable that would still offer the liability protections needed for Georgians.
There were a lot of interested parties in that legislation last year, from the insurance companies, their lobbyists, and others, making sure that was taken care of. All right, at this time, it'd be appropriate for a motion, and I think Chairman Taylor.
Move to pass pending. I think we have an amendment from Chairman Terrell.
All right, we have a motion to pass. We have a second. Representative Garner. All right, are there any amendments?
Mr. Chairman,
I'd like to offer an amendment to House Bill 717. Members of the committee have received a printout. Basically on a line 11 of the bill, we're going to strike the word "and." And on line 12 at the end of the sentence where it ends today, lemon law, we're going to add a semicolon and the following. And Article 22 of Chapter 1 of Title 10, the Georgia Motor Vehicle Practices Franchise Act, and then we can end it there with a period. Legislative Council has suggested we don't need to repeat that OCGA code section. So again, we are also including, as Representative Kelly mentioned, the Motor Vehicle Franchise Practices Act as well.
Okay. The last legislative council is, that seem proper?
Yeah, and I just noticed as well, it's actually the Georgia Motor Vehicle Franchise Practices Act.
All right.
So it'll say the Georgia Motor Vehicle Practices Franchise Act. Franchise Practices Act.
Okay. It's for. All right, we have a motion to amend. Do we have a second to the motion to amend? All right, we have a second. Now, just for the committee's purposes, Legislative Council, could you read that to us as it'll appear?
Sure, we're getting rid of the "and" on line 11 and adding on the end of line 12 and Article 22 of Chapter 1 of Title 10, the Georgia Motor Vehicle Franchise Practices Act.
All right. Are there any questions on the amendment? All right. If not, we'll move on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. All right. Then we go to the main motion to the bill. All those in favor of approval of HB 717 LC 391720 as amended, vote aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Bill passes and goes to rules, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you so much.